When I learned I had cancer, I felt very scared and it was not a nice feeling in my stomach. But then I started to persevere and move on with it. Hello, I'm Rowan and I'm 11 years old. I was born in 2007 and I had AML leukemia. At first, I was at an athletics meeting and I came home. My mom was in Pretoria and I was feeling very, very tired. My mom came home that night and she said that the next morning I need to go to a doctor. So I went to a pediatrician and he sent me to Red Cross. Then I saw Dr. Mark and he said that I had cancer, AML leukemia. And at first I wasn't very scared, but both my parents were doctors. Afterwards, about an hour later, I started to get the worst of it and I wasn't feeling very happy about it. And then they put me in high care in G1. In G1, in the first month or so, I had about 6 lumbar punctures, which is when they stick a needle into your back fluid, and they were very, very sore. But then the ketamine that they gave me, I absolutely hated. So then I started just having them awake, which was much better for me. And they did them so nicely, and my mom told me that I was going to be there for 4 months, and I said, it's going to be fine.
My name is Julie, and I'm a doctor at Groote Hospital, and I work in the cancer department there. And I have my 2 children, Rowan, and my older daughter, Neve, who's Rowan's sister. And that's about that about me.
How did you feel when I was diagnosed with AML leukemia?
Well, I think for any parent, even whether they're not a doctor, it's a big shock to hear that your child has got such a serious disease. And I cried a bit, but not in front of you. And then I just set my mind to going forward and looking at what treatment options were available. But I think for any parent, it's the worst thing that they can imagine to hear something like that. But I also knew that you'd be in very good hands here. And because I do know quite a lot about cancer, I could also be very hopeful because I know enough about what you had, which is acute myeloid leukemia, to know that it's very treatable. And so that gave me lots of hope.
How did you cope with me being in the hospital and being at your work?
Well, I coped because your granny, Nana, was here every single day, with Grandpa sometimes, to look after you so that I could go to work for at least part of the day. And I think the other very important part is that the people at work were very helpful. So they said if I couldn't come to work, I didn't have to. And even if I came for half the day, it was good enough. So I had a lot of support.
What advice could you give to other parents?
Well, I think that trusting your doctors and just doing what they tell you to do is very important. So even though I'm a doctor, I did that. I made that choice not to go and look up lots of information on the internet. I eventually did look up some information in my old textbooks. But I think to rather just do as you're told and to listen to what you have been given information-wise rather than trying to find out all sorts of extra information is very important. And I think that it's very important to have a support system.
Well, when I was in high care, I couldn't eat for 4 days, which was not very nice. I couldn't eat any solid food, and they had a tube down my nose, and that wasn't nice at all. Then I got a burger, and then I just because someone came to give it to me, and then I actually started just looking at this burger the whole time for the 4 days, and then I gave it to everyone else around me, like my parents and my granny, my nana, and yeah. So this is my nana. She looked after me in the hospital in the day, and her name is Jean. Tell me more about yourself.
I'm an old granny who lives in Milnerton. I've got 3 grandchildren, 2 boys and a girl. And Rowan, you are my youngest.
What was it like for you when I was in the hospital?
Well, first we got a huge shock. And then we thought, no, tomorrow they're going to say, we made a big mistake. There's nothing wrong with Rowan. And then you get frightened because you think, how's it going to be for 4 long months in hospital all that time? Then you start meeting the doctors and the nurses and the housekeepers who keep it sparkling clean. And you feel so comfortable and so really, really reassured that they know what they're doing and they care about you. They made us feel as if, I think they make every child feel that that is the most important child to them. And we watched you getting very, very sick, but then we watched you getting better.
Did I listen in the hospital?
You listened, but your granny was always coming at you to de-germ you, and I think that was a bit of a thing to put up with. And then I think it was difficult for you to lie in bed helpless and see your poor granny trying to put in a DVD and not know what on earth she was doing. And, these technical things. But we came through it, and I found you actually very, very patient.
So, Nana, what was the thing that you liked in the hospital the most? Like, what made you feel at home in the hospital?
Well, there is a very homely atmosphere, and that garden. Just that garden, and where all the moms sit, as you come in there. It's very, very cozy and friendly. And I didn't feel as if I was in a hospital.
Thank you so much, Nana. Thank you for making me food in the hospital and for looking after me.
It was my pleasure, my boy.
Thank you.
I hope it never happens again.
Yes. Currently, I am on remission, and it is when you finish all your treatment and the doctors, they give you about a blood test every month to start, and then they'll start taking it away like every 2 months, then 3 months, and then that's it. And you would get re-diagnosed within 3 years with AML. And I don't know about the other cancers, but with AML in about 3 years. And it makes me feel happy that I'm on remission. But then the other day I was feeling sick, and then I had to go back to G1 to go get blood tests and everything. And then I was feeling so sick, and because I was worried about I would get re-diagnosed. But then, I just couldn't wait to leave the hospital, and I was fine. Julie, what do you feel about RX Radio?
Well, I only heard about RX Radio when you got ill. And I think it is the most incredible concept to have a radio station that involves children who've had illnesses and got better, or who are living with their illnesses, telling their stories and creating programs that can be broadcast in the hospital to support other children so that they can see that it's possible to either survive an illness or to live with your illness. Despite all the side effects and the problems that you might have, that there's always hope, there's always something that you can do. And I think it just is another thing that makes this hospital very special and quite unique.
I'll have a show about exploring the outdoors or something. I just like the nature, and I like the animals, and animals are probably my favorite thing in the world because they don't really have a voice like humans, which humans were always they'll be rude to you, and animals, they just comfort me all the time. My 2 dogs at my mom's house, I think that they sort of knew that I was sick, because every single time I saw them, they gave special time to me, and they helped me a lot.